I know you just flew from Jacksonville. I was gonna say that you were close enough. Where are you from? Where are you from? I said, okay. See, I don't know. You never tell me these things.
Studio City.
Studio City?
Yeah.
The town that time forgot. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Because you put a little space between each other. I see that. Keep it. There you go. Oh, you're roommates. That's how I know. Philly. Another Philly.
Woo!
Boston. One person representing me. Listen, that's...
Rich, there's a beret.
There's a... It's the wrong color. You know what it is? You know what it is? I like that beret a lot. It's very, aside from fashionably spot on, it looks like the episode 1505. The gal wore the beret. Which, by the way, the beret was my idea. I pushed for the beret.
He's a beret man.
I'm a beret man from way back. But you just realize, I didn't realize I was backing into that joke, but boy, if I had a nickel. What I'm going to say is that, because we did that episode, which was 1505, which was aired like 2 weeks ago. Jerry Wanick, who's a production designer on the show, he called me about a week before the show, and he's like, man, this show, before I started prep, he's like, Wes Anderson. I feel like this show is Wes, there's so many opportunities to Wes Anderson. I'm like, oh, right. So like we did Moonrise Kingdom uniforms and Rushmore and all this stuff, so that's the impetus for her outfit, which is why I went with the beret and the whole thing, and and the tent. If you look at the tent, it's labeled the same tent that had been the main boys' tent in Moonrise Kingdom. And we did a bunch of Wes Anderson things in there. Anyway, I digress. Anywho, Jason, where are you from? You have to answer the question.
Bowling Green, Virginia.
Bowling Green, Virginia. I hail from Nashville, Tennessee, and reside in Los Angeles, California, specifically Silver Lake. That's my neck of the woods. The hipster. It's the Brooklyn of LA.
If someone else had said Silver Lake, what would you have said to them? What would be your retort?
Hey.
You had like a little quip for all of the LA suburbs or all the LA. What's your?
Well, that's something. Like Studio City is the town that time forgot. Oxnard's the big O. You're Oxnard adjacent. So, then there's not Oxnard. There's a couple of cities that go by that.
I got a speeding ticket in Oxnard.
Yeah, I got a speeding ticket in Oxnard right there. There's the opening of your blues song. I got a speeding ticket in Oxnard. Riding in my Prius. If you're going to Oxnard, you probably have a sensible car.
I was driving to UCSB where I went to school.
How long is that drive? That's not too bad.
That was like 3 hours.
Oh, it is?
Thanksgiving, it took 5.
Oh my gosh.
To get to like Aliso Viejo.
That's a long haul. Oh, but you made it here.
I was trying to make it less of a long haul. That's how I got the speeding ticket.
Yeah. Did you explain that to the officer? They usually understand.
I told him
I was speeding because I was trying to get somewhere quicker than the law allows, sir.
Law and science.
And they didn't take kindly to
No,
that.
it was like $250.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Do you validate?
Do they tell you how much it is, like in money, or do they give it to you in Jared and Jensen photo ops? It's gonna be half a photo op, ma'am. It's gonna cost you half a duo, or 45 Robin Riches. I mean, if the guy was a super fan, maybe currency. He'd speak in that currency.
I should have tried that.
Yeah. I'm not wrong. I know. No, I'm not wrong. I know you people are not fiscally responsible. That's why I love you. Well, I know, I don't know if there is a Q&A portion of this, but if you have any Q's, we'll certainly A them.
Did your dad come today?
My dad did not come to the show, which is a shame. He would certainly have enjoyed it. Here's the thing about Dick Sr. Many of you have probably met my father if you've done the Nashville tour. Anybody on that tour? Oh, it's a fun bus tour where my dad gives it's a Richard Speight tour, but I don't do anything but stand there. He actually knows Nashville like the back of his hand and arranges the whole thing, and literally he sends me the itinerary, where we're going to go, what we're going to do, where we're eating lunch, and what songs I need to bring. So when he points to me, I play them on my phone.
And then for the whole tour, Rich does what I've been doing on stage, which is
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, you know how buses are, it's like you gotta hand the mic over. Once you hand the mic to Dick Sr., it goes into the vortex of 1950s humor. It's goes right. But so obviously a lot of the songs that are recorded in this are songs that I loved growing up. Me and Paul, perfect example. Me and Paul is a song off the Outlaws album that we listened to on vinyl, wore it out, bought more vinyl, you know, and when the first week that thing came out on CD, we had it. I mean, that's a Speight family album for sure. And so
With the Jason Mann's cameo added in.
yeah, well, I changed all the cities to cities that we do conventions in.
I just thought it was about Paul, like our Paul.
Paul Corella.
I didn't know.
Well, it
I
could
didn't
be
know that it was
it
like
could be whatever
the big-
Paul you want it to be.
Nashville, so I didn't know.
It's your, well, it's Paul. There's some. I've always thought it was for Tom Paul Glaser, who was part of the Outlaws, the fourth Outlaw guy.
Probably is.
But now somebody told me that it's actually Willie Nelson's drummer, that he wrote it for him as drummer.
Yeah.
But when wait, Paul, ironically, Gary. It's a weird. They had but Waylon Jennings recorded it live, and he sings me and Tom Paul. So maybe Waylon was nodding to Tom Paul, and Willie was
And we carried
nodding
on
to
the
Gary.
tradition because now we're nodding to Paul Corella.
Exactly.
So then whoever covers this song,
That needs to
Jason
be a
Paul.
duet.
yes.
That's your middle name? No. We've been working together for a fucking year and a half. You never told on a song called Me and Paul. You've never told me your name is
I
Paul.
thought that's why you picked that song.
You've never. That's so bizarre that you've never bothered to mention.
Now we're gonna sing it Jason Paul instead of
Jason Paul. Yeah, that makes sense. Good Lord, man. I mean, I get you're quiet, but that's beating a dead horse on the monosyllabic front. You're a quiet bitch, real solid. Your quiet game is impressive, sir. But that song, so that whole album is one we've listened to our whole lives. Is I really wanted to put something on there from that song. Change the cities to be about this. Nashville's always in the song, but then the other cities are cities that are not mentioned in the song. It's Laredo and Buffalo, and we changed them to be the cities that we visit. And I mentioned instead of Kitty Wells and Charlie Pride, it's Jason Mann's and Loud and Speight. Yeah, switch it up. So that kind of nice little homage to the journey we've been on for the last decade.
I was playing that song for Rob early, like an early mix of it, in the green room at one of the conventions, and the only other person in the room was Norton, and he was sitting at a table like behind us working on something, you know. And whenever that part came up, I had forgotten that he was in the room, and Rob and I were talking about something else. And then me and Jason Mann's and Loud and Swain, and I heard, "Oh man, that's awesome!"
That was a good point.
That's all.
That was a good impression. You got it.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
You don't speak much, but when you do a hell of a Stephen Norton.
Why did you pick Jackson?
I picked Jackson because I love Jackson, and because I lured Emma Fitzpatrick into working on the album. And when I roped her in, I wanted to do something fun, like old school fun like that. So we did Jackson together, and then I'll probably retell this story from the stage because it's a fun story. But she and I ended up co-writing along with Zach, the guitar player, the song "Going Straight." That's the song we wrote, and that song came about because, and it's a funny story, and this involves you because you know what I'm going to say. She was backstage at the Nashville convention. I think it was Nashville, or it was some city that she happened to be in the same town. So Rob let her know. And she came to visit with us and did a couple of numbers on stage. But she said, "Hey, Rich," and Emma and I, backstory, we don't know each other that well. She's part of this friend group through Jason, Rob Benedict, Billy Moran, Rob Humphreys, and Coop, and all these guys she's played with in Germany, and she's just been brought in that way, at least as far as I know. So I have admired her work from afar and seen her perform and met her, but I don't know her well. So it was really a reach for me to go, "I really want you to sing on this album. I know you don't know me, but you know him." And so we're backstage. She goes, "Hey, I've written a song that I think would be really great for your album, but Jason doesn't like it." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, I sang to Jason." He said, "Nope, not gonna happen." I'm like, "What?" sounds out of character, but why don't you just, what's the song? And she goes, I'm going to sing it to you. So she sang me the verse that is her verse. Little whiskey gonna pick me right up, that whole thing. And I was like, that's fantastic. Why would Jason hate that song? She's like, I don't know. And so later, like, I think she was with me, we kind of cornered you. I'm like, what, dude, what? Why did you hate that song? And I'll let you take it from here.
I said, I don't hate that song. And then you guys told me the story that you just told. And I was like, Emma, did we have that verbal conversation, or was that over text? I think it was over text. She said, yeah. And I was like, yeah, go ahead and pull that up for me. Go ahead and pull that conversation up. And so she pulled it up and she read the conversation, and I very distinctly said, that's a great song. I look forward to hearing it flushed out.
Which went into Emma's ears as, don't like it. Out. Didn't make the cut. And I was like, and that made more sense. That sounded more like you. I'm like, okay, that sounds like Jason Mans. But anyway, that song came about. It was another great opportunity to do a duet with her. And look, I've always loved Jackson. Jackson to me is a song that is super fun. It's a great go-to karaoke song. It's a fun song to sing if you can sing. It's a fun song to sing if you can't. So that was just on the list. And early on, I was making sort of a long list of songs that we were thinking about putting on there, and that was always on there. Me and Paul. I'm trying to think of what the other early ones. Oh, then being from Nashville, we're talking about my dad and the music and stuff. And another funny thing about my dad is, of course, I made this album, and I sent the link to him. I said, Dad, I think you're going to enjoy this. Which is tantamount to dropping a laptop in front of a T-Rex and saying, just go on Google. My dad's not a digital man, and I respect that about him. He's not a digital guy. So he has an image of an album on a phone that he doesn't know if you tap it will take you to that, and he doesn't know beyond that what to do with it anyway. So even though I sent him the album, he's like, waiting on that CD. I'm like, okay, so he has yet to hear it. I got to give him CDs. Well, I mean, this is how this.
Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure that if you cut to him in his armchair at some point, he'd be going, play! Play now!
Yeah, probably. And he's deaf as a doornail. It could be playing, and he would not know. The other thing is, like, this will explain the Speight level of technical excellence. Not long enough ago. This should have been a long time ago, and it wasn't. That I got a phone call from my mother saying, turn on your fax machine, I've sent you an email. Think about that one. But there's so many things that don't make sense about that. Answer the phone, I'm parking the car. So we're not an advanced people when it comes to technology. So I got to give him the actual CD, and then he will hear it, and then he will actually enjoy it.
What about Nirvana and In the Pines?
In the Pines.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Lead Belly song. For sorry, like I said, that's an old song. Nirvana was covering that, obviously, and it's one of those tunes that I've loved forever. And that's the one song that was I don't know, maybe we'll see. And Zach got down to the dobro and went in the room, and I sat in the recording studio with the microphone, and we did it, and we looked at her like, well, that's done. Like, we just did that. That track is totally live. We had Coop and Rob go in and play after the fact. They came in and put in, but like, Zach was on dobro, and I was singing, and we worked out a couple of kinks for the bridge, but I never redid the vocals for that. That was just how it fell off the truck, and we're like, ooh, that's cool. We're gonna keep that. It's just, so we weren't really sure. There's some songs we thought, this will definitely be on the album, and they're not, and there's certain things that came out of nowhere because we thought, well, let's try something. And that's what this whole album was, an experiment in not if we could do it, because it felt like we could, but it was an experiment in having fun with it. And like, what can we do that makes this fun, that feels like a band, even though we're not a band who's traveled around together for years and years and years. We have to sort of do that bonding and musical trust or artistic trust very quickly in order to capture what this feels like.
I loved your tweet, by the way, which was last rehearsal before the show.
And I liked your tweet, which was, and ironically, first rehearsal. Yeah.